Hi, everybody. My name is Pranav, and I'm going to be taking a workshop on dealing with stress while judging. A couple of caveats before we start. I am obviously no expert, but this is based on my experiences and what I have learned. So I hope this helps you. And the way I have gone through or structured this workshop is to break down in common stress points that we as judges face and what are the perspectives that you can take in order to deal with this stress. Obviously, these have worked for me. They may not work for you, but I hope that there is some help that you can get out of this. So, the first question I think that bothers all judges is it's your first major as a judge, and how do you deal with this? I think the first thing to note here is everybody starts somewhere. So, all debaters, all judges, the first experience is always very, very daunting. And it is okay to be nervous. I would say nervousness is probably a sign that you actively care about the activity and want to perform well. And this is a good thing, not necessarily a negative thing. Of course, it can be overwhelming, but there are other things that you should probably remember if it's your first major, that even people who are at their nth major also feel similar amounts of stress, if not the same, because of different reasons. So the key things to remember is your preparation will help. All the comps that you have done in the prep season or before that, or reading the manual and those kinds of things will obviously help you. This is not different than any other tournament that you have done before. You will see the same faces, probably the same teams. You will see similar motions in terms of ideas or things that you have read about. So this is not going to be something totally out of the blue. You're not being thrown into the deep end. And you're not here to prove to the world you're infallible, that you can't make mistakes, or that you are the best perfect judge who's come on earth and you are always going to give the best performance. I think, of course, it's important to aspire to perform well and push yourself to do well, but you're not here to prove to anybody that you're worthy. You're only here for yourself, to, enjoy, to learn. Because remember, every competition is a learning experience, and I hope you get the best out of that experience. So what's the next thing that people are always stressed about? Given the judge test deadline is now over, it's that you've bombed your judge test, that you might start as a trainee and your answers don't match the answers that the CAs have shared, and this is really stressing you out. Well, the first thing is, don't beat yourself over it. It is one data point. It doesn't determine how you will perform at the end of 8 rounds. So don't beat yourself over it. I would say it is good to make a mistake now in the judge test. It's a good learning moment before the rounds have even started. It gives you enough opportunity to reflect rather than make a mistake much later. You have enough ability to bounce back, given that there are 8 rounds that are still pending. But I think the way to look at this is reevaluate. What did you miss? Were there any traps that you fell into? And how can you fix these mistakes? The ADJCO will share a judge briefing. This is a good sort of way to find out what did you overcredit, what did you undercredit, and you can discuss with the fellow judges, the shadow ADJCO, on what were their thoughts about the debate. So look at it as if, what are the things that I can fix before the round starts? And this will make sure that better aware and better prepared before the round. And round one will be a new starting point. So from that on, you will not, you will make sure that you will not make the same mistakes again, and you will ensure that you do the best possible thing. So the judge test is not the determining factor of how good or bad a judge you are. What if you're judging a team with cult following? The X rep, Y institution. A lot of people love them. They are people's champions. People think they will win the debate. But this is not important, right? Your job doesn't change. You are here to judge the debate. And I think the more you sort of focus on what your job here is, the less stressed you are likely to be. Because I think you need to remember that you hold the power. You are the boss in the room when you enter. You are going to be conducting the room. You are going to be casting the vote. You will be deciding who wins or loses. And reputation of teams should not matter in determining how good or bad you will perform. The debate should matter. You judging holistically should matter. And those are things that you can focus on, and not what the team will think about your OA or how will they evaluate your performance. Trust yourself. I think that's the most important thing, that you will do the fair thing. You will judge well. You are prepped for this. You are capable and competent. And I think belief in yourself is going to be important. But how do you approach the OA? I don't think this is any different than other OAs you will give to A, B, or C team. I think it's the fundamentals remain the same. You have to be clear on what persuaded you and why. And most debaters will appreciate that clarity much more than you getting stressed over being swayed by which team is there. So focus on your performance more than who you are judging. I don't think that matters as much as you giving a good fair call does. But what if you're judging a really tight matchup, right? It's round seven. You're going to decide who's going to be cut off from the break. I think the first fundamental again is believe in yourself. You are here because the Edge Core trust you, because feedback probably demonstrates that you've performed really, really well, and therefore you must back yourself in giving the best possible call and the best possible OA. Yes, it is a contentious room, but your job does not change. And your job is to provide good quality adjudication to both teams that are present there, to do your best in evaluating all arguments fairly. And once again, I repeat what I said earlier, don't lose sight of the basics. Some of the core tenets of reasoning, holistic adjudication, looking at links, not overcrediting material, checking your biases, using the speaker scale properly in how you are scoring teams. All of these basics should, help you tide over this room. So don't fret. Teams are probably more nervous than you are, and you should back yourself if you are judging such a tight matchup. I think I'm in a dead room. Oftentimes, we have a tendency as judges to overanalyze the draw. We look at our allocation, then you start comparing to where your friends are placed or where you think certain judges are placed, and be like, well, if that person is in X point room, I'm in a Y point room. Stop overanalyzing the draw. CA teams have multiple priorities in mind when they are setting allocations, and this does not necessarily mean that because you're put in Y room, that's a dead room, or if you're put in X room, you're the more important judge who has a higher chance of judging the grand final. I don't think these are priorities you should bother yourself with. I think what you should focus on is every room deserves good judging. And the debaters still care, no matter they're in a 0 point room at the end of round seven or in a 6 point room before round seven. They care about your feedback. Your feedback matters. And they're still scoring you. You're going to be giving an OA. So you still want to ensure that you are scored fairly, you are scored well, and you get those scores from them. And I think it's important, therefore, to not worry about where you are placed because the job doesn't change. You should worry about how you evaluate these teams fairly. Don't slack because you think it's a dead room. Make like being in a dead room is not a free pass for becoming lazy in your note taking, breezing through your OA. There should be no difference in the way you approach judging in round one or in round eight of any tournament. You should ensure that you are, you know, keeping in mind that teams are here to learn from you, to hear you, and you have a job to do. And the job does not change how contentious or how non contentious the room is. And make sure that you are always aware about that. But what if you give a really bad OA, and I have given a really bad OA? Well, welcome to the club. All of us have done it. All of us have, tanked our OAs. They could be things that you didn't understand or things that you breezed through, you really bucked under pressure, and that's completely fine. Nobody on this planet has given a perfect OA every time that they have spoken. There is always room for improvement for every judge. But one round, just like the judge test does not determine your ability or your performance, one round doesn't determine your ability as a judge. Maybe there were things that you missed. So debrief with someone you trust. Speak to a friend or speak to a fellow judge in the room who judged before, gave the OA before you did, and discuss with them what you felt were the pitfalls and misgivings in your OA. So analyze, use this as a learning opportunity so you can fix this before the other rounds. But don't overdo it. Every one of our friends who's at the tournament is going through their own bunch of stresses about breaking, not breaking, where they were not. So sort of create this mutual understanding with that friend, hear them out, give them space, but you also can share with them. And there should be somebody who sort of builds your confidence up and is somebody you can, rely on. But ensure that this does not actually break you, rather than you introspect and try to fix the mistakes that you made in that OA. And probably we are always a little harsh on ourselves than it actually was. Probably it was not as bad, but even if it was very, very bad, this is not the end of the world. You can definitely bounce back from this and fix your OA if you're honest with yourself and are cognizant of, well, these are the mistakes that I made. Oftentimes some people say you should go to the teams to get feedback. Well, I would say, leave that on individuals on how they want to approach this, because many times if a team has taken a loss, they really don't want to speak about it. They're going through their own stress, or a team has taken a win, just doesn't want to be actually very, very honest with you. So if this is a team that is somebody you know from before or somebody you trust, you can definitely get feedback from them. But I would, caution all judges. I take feedback from teams with a pinch of salt, because they have other things in their mind that they're thinking of, and therefore we should not push them to give us feedback at that very moment if they are really not feeling it. What if you dissent or split? Being in the minority does not mean it is the wrong call. Panels exist because judges reason differently, right? That's why AJCOs, when they are constituting panels at a major, have diversity, regional, gender, other kinds of considerations that they put in while constituting panels. And this is because judging and debating is about different perspectives, and it's different people have different things that they find persuasive. This is not a bug, essentially, it's a feature, but you should therefore not beat yourself up merely because you were in the minority. If you've given your decision on a clear, good faith evaluation of the arguments, then you've done your job. And at that moment, you might have felt that this was the correct call to give based on the reasoning that the teams gave and your evaluation of the debate. So don't start pushing yourself into believing that because you're in the minority, you're most certainly wrong. But I think there's a way to also bounce back from this. Discuss with your other judges on the panel. Their perspectives might be valuable. You can discuss what the tipping point for them was, or what is it that they found more persuasive, why, and you can discuss with them on what you credited and why you found something more persuasive. But don't gaslight yourself in, thinking that, oh my God, I've spoken to X judge and, this X judge is so reputed and is always correct. Therefore, I am particularly wrong. Not necessary. It is possible that you caught something that the other judges missed, but this does not mean that you're completely wrong or you're completely right. This could just be one of those debates where there was a toss up and there were certain things that judges had to prioritize. So as long as you gave your decision, as I say on point 3, for clear good faith evaluation of the arguments, then you've done your job. Learn, move on. Sometimes being in the minority is good. It's a good symbolic thing um, to split. There are other tips that I want to give judges beyond how to deal with the mental pressures. One, stay hydrated. You're going to be doing a lot of speaking as well in your OA. So make sure you're drinking water. It's hot outside. So keep yourself hydrated. Don't go hungry. Low blood sugar is a silent killer. Grab a snack. Eat your meals well. You need that energy when your brain is constantly being used. Unwind. Listen to music. Scroll through Instagram. See TikToks. Make TikToks, but make sure you put some space between yourself and the debate. Again, different things here work for different people. Sometimes some people just want to go take a walk, listen to music, do things that are able to push yourself away from debate for a bit and is like a zone. Speaking to friends outside debate, these are things that will really help you. Make friends and enjoy. Majors are or debate tournaments in person are not just about the rounds. I think they're also about the experience, meeting new people, interacting with people from different cultures. I think make sure that you actually take the fun out of the tournament and get the fun out of the tournament, sorry, and interact with people and get the kind of experiences that they've had. These are friends that you will make for a life a time, and most of us who've been debating for a while will say, however cliche this sounds, that this is probably the most beautiful part of the activity, is meeting new people and becoming friends. And never forget, if you feel low, on why you started this in the first place. This was maybe to become a better public speaker or to hear about different perspectives, to widen your thinking horizons, to challenge yourself. So, oftentimes, when you're feeling really low, I think thinking on what got you into debating can be a really good motivating factor to, make you feel nice about yourself. And, probably somebody who started debating a month ago or a person who started a couple of years ago, no matter how and when you started, you can always look back and say, well, that person has come very far and has a lot more to actually learn and gain from this activity. And so it's fine if I'm not having a good tournament. It's probably a one off. I will bounce back from this. So all of these, lead to the fact on have a little bit of faith in yourself. The last thing I want to sort of cover is what is judging about? Because, in my opinion, judging is community service. It's not always about you, it's about the activity. Take yourself not very seriously, but take the activity and the job that you do when you are doing that seriously. Respect it. But don't be so self consumed on thinking that everything is about you and just in case you messed up one round, this is going to be so bad, everybody hates you. So don't sort of push yourself as the center stage of everything. There could be other things that might be happening. So, I mean, I think the TLDR is just chill a little. But at its core, judging is a responsibility and you must respect that responsibility. You are here to judge, without fear or favor, affection or ill will. And this is important in the way in which you evaluate teams and you exercise that power of casting the ballot whichever way you do. And as long as you do this well, you should be fine. People will respect you. And if not people, at least you will respect yourself that you were fair. And I think judges have a very important role to play in this activity, which is I don't think we openly speak about it, although all of us do acknowledge it. Is that We are the ones who help debaters grow by giving clear and constructive feedback. Even if probably our call was wrong, I can bet you that when teams get feedback from us, there could even be half a point that we say that will actually help them, and that is something that they will carry with them, even if subconsciously, even if overtly they're upset, aggressive. I think deep down, we do, at least in our approach, attempt to ensure that we want to help teams understand where they could get better. And taking this responsibility that way will actually help you mentally to say, look, even if I'm giving the wrong call, these are areas I think you can work on. And this help will be valuable for those debaters. And lastly, be fair, be clear in your ways, and be kind. That's the job. And once you are, aware and look at judging from this perspective of community service, I think that will really, really ease away a lot of stress and pressure. I know some of this stuff might have been repetitive over the course of this, short video, but I hope this will help you. And I hope you continue judging. It's a great activity, and it's a great part of the activity, and you can learn a lot more. Happy judging, and I wish you good luck for UADC and for the tournaments that you do. Thank you.